We are now 2 weeks in the books. Some teams are 2-0, some are 0-2, some are 1-1. But before we get into the Week 2 results, we did have another trade go down in the TFFL as the Master Bateman is sending Derek Carr to the Reach-Arounders for DK Metcalf. So right after Travis beats Dan, they end up working out a trade. But let's check out the action from Week 2.
In our game of the week, Craig took down Tamara for the first time ever behind a huge day from Alvin Kamara, who put up 44 points. Malik Neighbors also had an impressive day with almost 30 points. Travis continues his surprisingly impressive start as he took down Dan to move to 2-0. Dan has now found himself in a hole he's never experienced. No, not that hole, Trent. Being 0-2. Brody and Jake suffered a heartbreaking defeat to Tyler as Saquon Barkley's dropped pass led to a huge pointing drive for Kirk Cousins, who solidified the victory for the commissioner. Along with Cousins, CD Lamb had a good day with 19 points. Josh laid the smackdown on Trent, winning by almost 35 points. He saw all of his players except 2 score in double digits. EJ took down Jordan by over 20 points, which may come as a shock to many in the league. For the second week in a row, EJ found himself in contention for high score of the week. Was he able to take it home after big days from Nico Collins and Justin Jefferson? We'll find out in just a bit. And in our final matchup, Hayden scored a big win over Jared to move to 2-0 and send Jared to 0-2. It came with a cost, though, as Isaiah Pacheco has been put on the IR.
And now it's time for our favorite segment of every week.
For the first time since becoming a solo owner, Travis finds himself the high scorer of the week with 158 points. Devon Achen, George Kittle, and Chris Godwin led the way for the Master Bateman.
God knows I don't need a rest from. Look at him, he's useless.
All right. After winning the high score of the week in their very first TFFL game, Brody and Jake must surrender that 20 they just won. It was a rough one as Week 2 seemingly turned their squad into the all-injured reserve team, led by scrambled egg brains Tua.
Injuries are starting to pile up early and it could affect Week 3. Let's check out these matchups.
In our game of the week for Week 3, the first 2 high scorers of the week square off in what could be a giant upset, or Travis could be the second Bradley to beat them in the last 2 weeks. Next, we have a matchup of a former champion and a last-place finisher as Dan takes on EJ. A win for EJ would be monstrous to propel him to 2-1, while Dan tries to avoid an 0-3 start. Then we have Jordan taking on Jared, 2 former teammates, now cross-division rivals in a rematch of last season's third-place game. Jordan is 2-0 against Jared all-time, as Jared could be staring down an 0-3 start. In the next game, we see Trent taking on a red-hot and undefeated Hayden. Hayden looks to be returning to his 2022 form, while Trent is still trying to find some form other than losing. Next, we have Josh taking on Tamara in a matchup of 2 1-1 teams looking to establish a spot near the top of each of their divisions. Tamara is 0-1 all-time against Josh and looks to even the series this weekend. And in our final matchup, Craig puts his 2-0 record on the line against Tyler and also looks to even the all-time regular season series at 2 wins apiece. Meanwhile, Tyler is still waiting for Jamar Chase to be found, as his mug was recently on a milk carton at the local grocery store. That does it for this week's matchups. Back to you in the studio.
As we go into Week 3, good luck to everyone except Craig. We'll talk next week. We'll see who's leading the divisions and see if some of these 0-2 teams got a win.